What's up, guys? How you doing today? It's Germaine, and I wanted to talk about my workflow. I noticed that you guys had some questions on here about workflow, and I saw some pretty good answers. I mean, really, to be honest with you, your workflow will always depend upon how you work and how you see the problems that you need to address whenever you edit a image. Okay, so on this one, I basically did a basic edit. This edit probably took anywhere between 5 to maybe 10 minutes for me to do. This is a picture that I took of my daughter 2 weeks ago out in Dallas. We were actually on the rooftop, and I took this picture using off-camera flash. The camera that I used was my Sony A7R III. I had my Yongnuo YN200, which is their equivalent to a Godox 8200. And I didn't have my big soft boxes with me or my C stands, so I had to use my newer umbrella soft boxes. The umbrella soft boxes are cool. Don't get me wrong. If that's what you have, that's great. But I've been using deep parabolics as of late, and man, I love the output that I get from those strobes. So on here again, I wanted to address workflow. So this is the image as shot. This is straight out of the camera. Um, I chose this picture because again, I can do it real quick and I can show you guys my workflow. So let me get down to it, okay? So as you can see right here, I have, this is either a knee or this is the side of the chair that was actually out there on the rooftop. You can see that my framing was a tad bit off. This is not really level here. The orientation back here is kind of off too as well, but I'm gonna tell you something about this horizon line back here. It's actually going up like this. So what I like to do is if my framing is not on dead on whenever I take the image, then that's one of the first things I address when I upload an image into Photoshop. I do 99, you might as well say all of my portraits. For the most part, I do all of my portraits, the entire edit inside of Photoshop. I use Lightroom. Don't get me wrong, it's a dope software. I use it for like batch editing whenever I do weddings and school pictures and so on and so forth, or when I have a session and I want to hurry up and just do a batch edit on those sessions, then I will use Lightroom. But for my portraits, I've come to find out that this is the program for me. So again, whatever you use in order to make the magic, that you create, go ahead and roll with it. All right, so going back to the image, a few things stand out to me. Of course, I told you about this here. The flooring stands out to me right here. You can see some dirt on the actual wall here. I want to address that, as well as some scuffles over here on the beam. You can see that this portion of the roof is kind of crooked. It's kind of like this instead of being like this. And again, this horizon line right here, okay? This is one of them, right? So this is actually going on a slant, but I'm not going to use that to frame my image. What I'm going to use to frame my image would be this beam that she's sitting on, because for the most part, it appears to be straight, as well as I want to use this part of the roof right here. I have a couple of spots in the clouds I think I'm gonna deal with. And of course I have the side of the umbrella softbox right here that I want to deal with, okay? So what I did was I went on ahead and I did an edit. So I'm going to show you what I actually addressed in my basic cleanup edit, all right? So let me click on this next layer for you guys. Um, 1 second. All right, here we go, clean up. Okay, so in this layer, I addressed my orientation. As you can see here, I basically scaled up and I used my, I believe it's offset X to scoot my subject back, as well as you can see here, the horizon line, I based it off of this ledge here as opposed to here, because this one here, it actually goes up on a slant a little bit. Okay. I cropped out the side of the roof right here. So that actually looks level as well. You don't see the floor. If you look at the area from here to here, it's basically level. It's a tad bit off right here, but I mean, hey, you know, it is what it is. I had a couple of blemishes in the clouds. I took care of those. The area of the softbox that was actually presented in the image when I took the picture, I removed that, and she had some blemishes on her legs, as well as she had a couple of blemishes in her face. I actually removed those, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I used the patch tool for all of these blemish removals on the entire image, right? Of course, you know, I could have used my spot healing brush. I could have used my clone stamp tool, my paintbrush. I could have used my lasso tool. I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter what tool you use as long as you acquire the outcome that you are looking for. That's what you want to do whenever you get in Photoshop. But I'm gonna tell you something else. Again, Photoshop has a lot of different ways for you to achieve a desired goal. I tell people all the time, learn as many tools as you can in Photoshop, because if you get stuck using one tool, or if you can't find out a way how to maneuver out of one tool, you can always use one of these other tools to get the outcome that you're looking for. So again, always learn, take time out, research, learn how to use your various tools in Photoshop that will help you out, that will save your life, so to speak, in the software. Okay. So let me see. Let me aim this down a little bit. Please excuse all of the stuff in the back. I was doing some stuff on YouTube earlier, and I hadn't had a chance to move everything around yet. All right. So going back to the image, I'm gonna go to the before. Okay. So here's the before. As you can see, this image right here, the framing is not where it should be, as well as you can see some of the blemishes right here on her leg. You can see some spots on the wall back here in the back, as well as on the ledge here, on the ledge. There's a couple spots right here in the clouds. Um, I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but to me, when I glance at the image, those stand out, those stood out. So basically, I removed those, and I removed this portion of the softbox as well. So let me go back to the basic edit layer, okay? All right, so at this point, I could basically stop right here, right? Of course, I could address her hair here and all that, but like for the most part, most people don't trip on those type of things if you're just trying to achieve a basic edit, a basic clean shot, right? If I were to edit this image, I would address the hair, and I would go a tad bit deeper on the skin, and the whole nine. But just to show you guys the workflow, which is the point of this video, I just did a basic edit, okay? So the next thing I would do is, once I correct the image from the standpoint of how it should look, now I'm going to address the color, okay? So, and again, guys, as I previously stated, I did not do anything outside of use my patch tool to clean up this image. Everything that you see that was clean from this point, that was cleaned up from here to here, I only use the patch tool for it. Again, you can use your clone stamp, your paintbrush, whatever you choose. It's totally up to you. So again, the first thing I did was I loaded the image in Camera Raw. At that point, I addressed my orientation. My orientation would be the framing and the crop, right? The next thing I did was I would tweak my exposure if I needed to. In this image, I didn't need to tweak my exposure, so I didn't worry about it. From that standpoint, I would load up the image from Camera Raw, and I would address my blemishes. Any type of spot removal or anything from that standpoint, I would address that on this layer, on this cleanup layer right here, okay? So now that I've done that, at this point, what I've done is I went through my list of presets, and I came up with two totally different edits just to show you how presets can really change the look of your images. I'm gonna tell you something else too as well. Presets will allow you to provide your clients with multiple looks using the same image and the same pose. So that's something else that you might want to look into. And for a selfish plug, I have to plug this in as well. I do sell presets. I will put the link in the description of this video too as well. But back to the color grade, okay? So one of the presets that I chose to use, I call it Melba. It comes from my travel pack. It's actually a preset pack that I'm currently working on now. And it's that faded Instagram look that everybody likes right now. So let me click that on. All right. So as you can see, it gives you a more muted look, but it also provided color. And it even cleaned up the skin a little bit more. This is what my basic edit, this is where it stopped at previously. Now, again, I would activate the preset and boom. This is one of those faded looks that a lot of people like to use on IG. You know, like this is one of those type of deals. The only thing is I added a little bit more contrast. I'm a fan of contrast. Some people don't like contrast, but I do. So I added contrast to this preset. So yeah, so this is one of the options right here for you. And again, to me, I like it. It looks more on the pinkish, lighter, like a light sky blue. Like it adds those tones, I guess you could say, but it's kind of dope. I like it. All right. So that's one of the presets that I use to color grade my images, you know, from time to time. Another one, just to show you something totally different. And again, this is a preset that I created myself. I believe this is my Riviera. This comes from my luxury pack. That one is not out yet, but it's coming out soon. As you can see here, this one basically provided that pop to the sky and it added more of a blue tone. It has contrast in it, but it's not heavily contrasted. So you know, it's pretty cool. If you go back to the original edit, this is how the picture looked after my basic edit. I didn't do anything like to the color as far as with this version of the image. This is how it looked when it came out of the camera when I took the image right here. Okay, and it looks pretty good. If you didn't see any of the actual color grade, you'll be like, okay, all right, cool image, you know. But if I put the Riviera preset on there, man, it really pops out. You really see that sky popping out, right? So again, guys, this is my basic workflow for the most part. Again, on my skin edit, I would typically do more. I would typically do dodging and burning. I would do FS. I would use a variety of tools for different reasons and so on and so forth. My color grading, I would probably do more on top of my preset too as well, just to make those colors pop out just a tad bit more. But yeah, guys, this is basically it. So again, I load up my image in Camera Raw. I correct exposure and orientation. At that point, I load the image. Once I load the image, I make a copy of that image and I clean up the image from that standpoint. So when I clean up my image, I'm basically doing spot removal and blemish removal at that point in time. Once I complete that, then that's when I go over to my color grade. Now, let me back up. Now in my workflow, when I'm working on images, again, once I do my blemish removal, spot removal, then that's when I transition over to dodging and burning and FS. Now, sometimes I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I don't worry about the blemish removal on the front end after I load up the image and fix the orientation and any exposure if I need to. At that point in time, I might just go into FS and dodge and burn. You know, because you can kind of sort of do the same thing there too as well. So once I do my cleanup, whatever that consists of, then I go over to my color grade. Once I color grade my image and so on and so forth, and I like it, then at that point I export my image. Side note, don't forget to lock in your colors. A lot of times if you don't, no, a lot of times I see pictures that I can tell from a certain extent were color graded, but since the colors weren't locked in using the software, they tend to wash out whenever you upload them to Instagram. It has something to do with the I think it's the color profile or something of that nature right here. Yeah, but I actually have a video inside this group on how to lock in your colors. So just scroll down, and I think I posted it back in January. But yeah, so once I lock in my colors, at that point in time, I save my image, and I reintroduce my image to a 4:5 IG crop. And at that point in time, I save that one as well, and I upload that one to IG. And the regular size versions, I upload those onto Facebook and my website. So yeah, guys, that's my basic workflow. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and keep shooting and keep on working on your craft. Peace.